I'm Peggy Hurson.
And I'm Scott Clark.
And we're coming to you from the coffee shop. It is June 30th, and we are at Bauhaus Books Coffee in Capitol Hill. And we have a special guest with us today. Eek! Scott, right. Would you like to introduce our guest?
This is Gwen Orweiler. She's
Gwen Orweiler?
Orweiler.
Yeah,
she's my aunt for the past I want to say 17 years. It's actually 25 years. I met her when I was 17.
So she must be an aunt by marriage if she at one point became your aunt.
In the most, yeah, she's in the least liberal sense. She met my uncle when I was 17. That's how we basically came to basically once she got in the family, she was not allowed to leave.
I see.
So she's
well, welcome,
more or
Gwen.
less, right?
Well, hi. I was coming as an audience member, not a participant.
No, that's boring. Kanita's always our obvious audience member, and she refuses to talk. And she's technically not here.
No.
All right, we won't talk to Kanita then.
Yeah. It's been good so far. This place, I like this coffee shop. It's nice. It's I was just looking at the pictures down below. It was originally a motorcycle shop, bicycle shop. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And you see the picture of the founder on the wall there?
Yeah.
As you walk in, you're greeted by this
she's
by
moving
this founder.
Closer. Yeah, I actually saw a note on the what do you call that, cash register that says that they're losing their lease, and so they're going to have to move to a different location.
That's a bummer.
I know. It said August 31st, so if anybody wants to come out and support, I don't know why they're moving, because they've been here in this location for like 1 billion years.
Right.
It's a beautiful location.
It is. And they're really well known in the neighborhood, kind of as a hipster hangout. Which
you can see the Space Needle from here.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful... I didn't really actually notice this view until we came upstairs. We're actually on the mezzanine, and it's amazing. I can see the Olympics and the Space Needle and all kinds of these skyscrapers, but after that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I love this part of town because, we're right across from the Melrose Market, which has like these really great little shops where you can buy like butcher sausage and stuff. And then if you go across to the other side, there's my favorite park in Seattle, which is this tiny little triangle of grass that's like half the size of this coffee shop, and it has 3 columns in the middle of it, like Greek columns. And when you stand like right at the right spot, you have the whole skyline of downtown with these like Greek columns right in front of it.
Cool.
It's gorgeous.
What's the name of the park?
I have no idea. I call it Hobo with a Telescope Park.
Oh.
Because one day I was walking by and I saw a hobo with a telescope.
Oh.
I have no idea why he had a telescope, but he had a telescope. It was the middle of the day, so I assume he was beeping on downtowners.
Usually they just have a shopping cart.
Exactly. He may not have been a hobo.
Yeah.
He looked
the
hobo-ish.
part of the hobo. Well, in the middle of the day with a telescope, it's not really, doesn't really fit.
Or does it?
Or I was going to say the astrologer,
astronomer.
The astronomer, yeah. Don't want to be out there looking at the stars in the middle of the day.
You never know.
You haven't been in Seattle much, have you?
Unless they're looking at the stars on the balcony.
It's true. It was very weird. And then I posted on Facebook, hobo plus telescope equals with a question mark. And my friend posted, hoboloscoper. And like he mixed the words together in a really funny way. And I was like, that's awesome. And then I wanted to do a cartoon about a hobo with a telescope. And have him like fight crime in a really boring way by just like, I don't know, looking at stuff.
That would actually make a good comic book.
I know. If only I could draw.
You don't need to.
He can.
I can draw a little bit.
Okay.
I can
Phase 2 of our project.
Yeah.
Comic books.
That would be awesome.
Or graphic novels. Isn't that what they call everything
He's
now?
so modest. He does a really good job.
This is what I hear. I've seen a little bit of it on Scott's blog.
It's almost like you atrophy if you don't practice. So I need to really get back into it.
There are so many things like that. Like I've actually found that like music, I always expect to be like that, and then once I like get back into it, like I play piano. So if I go like 2 or 3 years without playing, then I'll like start playing again and think I'm gonna have forgotten everything. But I actually like remember way more than I expected.
Like getting on a bike.
It is, the learning curve is shorter each time, but you still have to relearn some muscle memory.
It's true. Well, we are in Capitol Hill today because it is the Pride Parade downtown. And, of course, as I sing with the Seattle Women's Chorus, we are marching in the parade. And I was just showing everybody my really boring white t-shirt that they have me wearing. So we met up down here so that I can jump at the end and run downtown and line up for the parade. We're supposed to be learning choreography. So apparently we're going to be marching, and there's going to have, like, recordings of us from the past couple of concerts, and we're going to be doing, like, shimmies and, like, hand things. And then we're singing the national anthem at the end.
That's cool.
It's going to be really dorky, and my friend's bringing me alcohol. So.
And it's supposed to be 86 degrees.
I know. I'm covered in sunscreen. I'm prepared. Because I will set
Peggy's
on fire.
The skin, she's the skin tone that just instantly, in the sunlight, she's a vampire.
I am. You seem like you might. Or you seem like either you burn or you are like one of those people that just turns shades darker.
I turn a, what would that color be? It's more like a... It's not red. I don't
Mine
burn.
is definitely
I don't burn,
red.
but my skin does turn like almost like a native tone.
Oh, okay.
I get like, what do they call that? Like an auburn tone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And people
like
ask
not
me,
tan, but like pink dark.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And people say, "Are you burnt?" I'm no. Just my skin color. I actually I get a red tinge to my, and I'm not sure. There's somewhere in the family lineage where we have Native American in there somewhere. Somewhere's a Native American snuck in.
Totally. Yeah. My people are all, like, what do you call that? Northern Circle?
Heinz 57? No,
No, it's like...
Your Arctic Circle?
The farthest south my people come from is, like, Germany. It's like Germany and north, what do you call that? Longitudinally or whatever.
Yeah, more like northeastern European. Yeah,
totally. A little Finnish, a little Irish, a little Scottish.
Where there's... Basically, everything's they don't call it gray burn. You get sunburn.
Oh yeah.
So up there you don't need sunscreen because it's gray.
Totally.
It's like what's his name, Craig Ferguson, where damp is a color.
Oh yeah. Nice. So Gwen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh!
I know. Well,
on the spot.
We want to introduce you.
Gosh, well, as Scott said, I've been his aunt for some time now, and I remember when we first, it was a few years after we were together, it was your birthday, and...
Specify we.
We, meaning your Uncle David and I.
Right, okay.
And we were deciding whether to continue dating or not, and... Scott was having a birthday, and he invited me to come, and I said, but Scott, we're not going to be together anymore. And he said, I don't care. I'm inviting you.
It's my birthday. I invite who I want to my birthday.
Totally.
And we connected in a way.
Specify we.
Gwen and I, we connected. Because it was just weird. She'd been dating my uncle for maybe a couple months, and then I finally met her, and it was almost like we'd known each other for a while.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my uncle was at the time coming off of I don't want to say a messy divorce, but it wasn't fun, and I was kind of with him the whole time, and then Gwen came along, and it just kind of meshed, and then they hit a bump, or my uncle was still kind of like healing from the wounds of the divorce, and he was like, I don't want to be in a relationship, and then I don't, just because he didn't want to hang out with her, I was like, hey, I like
tough luck,
still be friends.
I'm appropriating her into our family.
That's exactly what he did. So
you gotta give the spoiler. Did you guys end up staying together?
It'll be 26 years this October.
Congratulations.
But they never signed the legal contract.
Oh yeah.
So we've been living in sin for 25 years.
Scandalous. And Washington has no common law, right? There's so many people in this part of the country that are like that. Like more so people I know that just never get married. They're like,
I think if it's good enough for Oprah and Stedman, it's good enough for me.
I actually, to tell you the truth, my wife and I, the only reason why we did get married because I held the youngest niece Taylor at the time. I was like, hey, let's have a baby. And we were been together for like 6 years. And she's like, we need to be married first. I'm like, all right, cool. And that's how we got married. There was no proposal. There was no ring.
You know, though, dear Abby would say that that's good because you're protecting your child, because there's all these legal things that, like, she talks about it all the time. So if you're going to have kids and you, like, you know, because, like, why get married? But once you're married, then you have, like all those kind of like survivor benefits things and stuff.
Yeah.
So that way, if you know anything happens to you, then she's protected and all this kind of stuff.
Well, that's probably the biggest reason for gay marriage and
totally.
equal opportunity.
And that's actually the thing I didn't understand. Of course, I'm sure everybody has already heard that DOMA has been repealed.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, because everyone was like so excited about it, and I was like, I actually don't really know what that means. And then I was listening to the Colbert Report last night while I was playing Left 4 Dead 2.
Is that where you get all of your news, too?
100% of it. 100%. And he was talking about how it doesn't, like, the states who don't have gay marriage still don't have it, but the states who do now, all of the people can get all of the federal benefits.
It's federally
so I was
recognized.
Like, oh,
just Washington and Colorado, I believe, are the only two states.
That's weed.
That is weed. It's New York. There's like,
oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
I think we were the 8th state.
Oh, really?
A whole bunch in the Northeast.
There's like 13 states that actually recognize gay marriage.
It's great. And several that have civil, like Illinois has civil, whatever you call that, civil
union.
There you go. I kept thinking disobedience, and I'm like, that's not the right word.
Maybe.
And like they have civil unions that they just immediately have started trying to change into a same-sex marriage law, because it was so, like, everyone was like, oh, well, this is great for us. Like, why not just call it marriage? It's the same thing.
I like the biggest argument is, like, because it goes against the Bible, right?
Yeah, whatever.
And my argument against that, argue with an atheist about the Bible, you know?
That's why you put it in quote marks with your hands.
I'm like, well, if it's such a big deal, if you want to preserve the sanctity of marriage, like they're saying it's going to destroy the sanctity of marriage, we'll make divorce illegal.
Yeah.
If
and
you're
legalize
really,
polygamy, because that is the primary form of marriage in the Bible, is multiple wives.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I can handle it. It would be way too many. I'm way too lazy.
Honestly, I mean, if I'm being real, I don't care what other people do. Like, for me personally, if it was, because, you know, that's like a slippery slope argument that people go, well, if it's anybody can get married, then polygamy's next. And I'm like, you know what? Polygamy should be legal, because the people who are doing it now are doing it in secret, and that's how they're doing all that scary shit where they're marrying 14-year-olds. Because nobody knows about it, because they're hiding from public view. And if it was legal, then people would be watching them, and they would have to have public marriages, and then everybody would be going, wait, how come this young girl is getting married to this old man? And I think it would improve the quality of life for the people who are doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, hey, I don't care if 3 women want to marry one dude. Go for it.
It's up to them.
As long as they're consenting adults, I don't give two shits.
It actually, what I think it comes down to is the Constitution of the United States, the pursuit of happiness. As long as you're not hurting anybody, or you know, well, if you're hurting somebody, you'll get dealt with. But whatever makes you happy. And my views or anything, my religion has nothing to do with Peggy's religion. You know, whatever. My law. You know what I mean? I'll let it rule me, and not you. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Now, if you come to me for advice, I'll tell you my opinion. But that's it. That's my opinion. That is all it is, an opinion. And that's...
well, I think we all come from such different perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a social worker, and I have a lot of clients, but there's this certain kind of client that I have that's like higher functioning, doesn't make a lot of great choices, like really... has a lot of mental illness problems, but maybe just like has fucked up their life. And I spent a lot of my time talking to people's families, and you know, I had this client one time who was making all these choices that were really, I mean, to an outside observer, you're like, you are destroying your life, and you're making all of these choices that eventually are going to really upset you. And their family's calling me and being like, you know, what can you do? Like, clearly she's, you know, having a manic episode. And I'm like, in my opinion, she is volitionally choosing to destroy her life. And I'm offering her lots of help, and I'm, being there for her. But, like, people are free to do that. Like, I'm free to go ruin my life if I want to. You're free to ruin your life. I'm free to do things I think won't ruin my life, but end up making things really difficult for me. Like, we are all free to do the stupidest thing we can think of doing, as long as it doesn't hurt another person or ourselves.
Right.
And so I hate having those conversations, because I'm like, I know, an outside observer can see clearly that this person is doing things that are going to cause relationship problems and whatever.
Right.
But I'm sure people think that about me all the time.
Well, and people can't see what's going on in their subconscious mind.
Exactly.
I'm an emotional freedom coach.
Yeah,
and
told us this, definitely.
Yeah, and so I know that so much is programmed in our subconscious mind that we're acting from that we aren't even aware of. Like you're saying, you're able to stand outside of your client's perspective. They can't really see that they're ruining their life.
Right.
They can't grasp that, and just like we can, As a coach, sometimes I think, everybody else can see my stuff that I can't see.
Right. I always wonder that. Like, I have a few good friends who we've been friends, like, our entire lives, and I'm always like, so, what's my thing? Like, what? Because I have this one friend who told me once, like, she was like, I don't know how to identify my emotions. And I was like, of course you don't. And she was like, you knew that? And I'm like, I've known you for 25 years.
But it's a different perspective. If you ask 5 friends, they'll give you 5 different perspectives.
Yeah, sometimes. But I'm always wondering, like, what is my thing? Which one of my good friends, her name's Carolee, I love her, she told me once, we were, like, goofing off. I can't remember why, and I probably did something mean to her, but she, like, turned around to me and just yelled, you know why you're not married? Because you're mean and you fart too much. I was like, that's probably true.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
And I was like, well, I am a little mean and I do fart a lot, so.
I would say I'm not mean at all, because farts make me happy.
Aww. Maybe the farts are letting the pressure valve off.
If you think I'm mean now, if I stop farting with that,
nice.
I'll be all backed up.
So Scott, I totally, I forgot that when we walked in this coffee shop, you said, I have a ton of stuff to talk about today.
No, it wasn't really a ton of stuff. It was you kind of hit on it too. Is my niece I was trying to get her to be a surprise guest, because it's her first.
Yeah, first Pride, right?
Her first Pride, and she came out. I don't know how long ago she came. Maybe a year or two ago, and she's now
came out from where?
She's out of the closet.
Oh,
yeah.
When you and this is where my mind is. When you said came out, I thought you meant moved here from somewhere else.
No,
from Montana.
No, she's actually she's
from Montana.
Her she's Thai, but she's born here.
Oh, right on.
So. But yeah, I was trying to coax her into coming here and just talking and just being on the podcast and asking her about what it feels like for her first Pride. She's really super excited. She's all over Facebook.
Cool.
And then you got it was almost a perfect storm with Proposition 8 getting turned over, the DOMA getting repealed, and then you got the Pride Parade today, and we're in Capitol Hill, which has been the center of the homosexual community in Seattle for as long as I remember.
Totally.
And so I just thought it was cool. And last night my mom was saying, we'll talk about your auntie. And I was like, my auntie? Well, growing up, we had an auntie. It was my grandmother's sister, and that's what we called her auntie. I don't even remember her real name.
No, I asked David when we met, and he said auntie.
Yeah, Elma is such a great, old-fashioned name.
Right, and
I love that.
Elma Depew was her last name. Elma Depew.
That is the greatest name ever.
She was my grandmother's half-sister, I think. Maybe I should have checked my facts before I actually said that. But
He's
anyway,
got a huge family.
I do, but she passed back in the 80s. She died of cancer. But the thing is, when we grew up, there was Auntie and Patty. Auntie's friend was Patty.
Oh, okay.
Patty from Texas, and they just lived together. They co-mingle,
cohabitated.
Cohabitated, yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
So were they special friends?
we never talked about it.
That's awesome.
It was never an issue. It was just like, when growing up, we'd go to their house for Christmas. And they're really cool. They were, now they were like extreme, like we were to be. They wanted to groom us as like being totally clean. We didn't dig in the dirt. We didn't, we flat top haircuts and.
Well, like, identifying as a lesbian is such a modern concept. And I was reading, like, I'm a social worker, obviously, so, like, Jane Addams, she lived with women her whole life. And, like she had a partner.
Started the whole social work.
Yeah, totally. She's, like, the godmother of social work. And she, like, I went to this art exhibit in Chicago because they have the Jane Addams house. And they talked about how people have labeled her as a lesbian. But she would never have used that word because it didn't mean having like a lifelong, loving, probably sexual relationship with a woman. It meant something different at that time.
Right.
And then I was reading like a social history piece a long, long time ago that was talking about colonial lesbians, and it was like the most joyous thing in the whole world to me because it was all these like LDS pioneer women who, because no penis was involved, culturally they didn't consider lesbian sex to be sex. And so these women had what today we would call lesbian lifelong relationships with their sister wives. And often, often they would marry the same man in order to be spiritual wives with their lovers. And like one of them, the woman they most spoke about was Ezra
Mormon
Snow.
Religion a little bit more interesting.
Ooh, I know. It got all spicy to me. I mean, now it would be totally taboo. But Eliza R. Snow. Yeah, she's like a really famous Mormon pioneer woman who wrote like half of the LDS hymn book. Totally a lesbian.
Wow.
They had all these letters between her and one of her sister wives where it was like all these like passionate love letters, and I was like, yes, like it was so awesome because to me, not only do I just find joy in people like having their history reappropriated,
that's
because
awesome.
if like an LDS person, an LDS person would be like, oh, let's not talk about that,
right?
But the fact that like all of our ideas about how people are supposed to quote unquote naturally behave are socially constructed, and so like we've identified like this LGBTQ label, and it means something to us as a culture now in a very specific way that it has not been that way forever.
Well, and it was dangerous back then that I don't think people would,
Yeah, totally.
It's the new civil rights. Well, I don't know if it's new, but it's the
well, that's what's interesting, because there have been eras all along where, like I was watching Velvet Goldmine, which is about like David Bowie, a David Bowie-esque character from like the late 70s, and I think there's a line in there where something like, well, are you bisexual? And he's like, it's 1981, everyone's bisexual.
It's like people smoking pot in the 70s.
Right. Totally.
Yeah,
so, it's interesting to me. I find that so fascinating.
About my aunt, my grandma's sister, Auntie, I don't even think it was probably years after she had passed away, and then we actually recognized that she was a gay. And a gay relationship. I was going to say she was in a gay relationship. But I was like, and then I thought, oh yeah, no shit. I kind of knew it, but nobody really talked about it. And it wasn't a shameful thing though either.
Yeah.
Because it was not a label put to it.
Yeah.
Well, your grandma has told me some great stories about hanging out in the, I'm putting quotes on this, because she was talking about the gay, places and the people she'd hang out with her sister and her friends. Great stories, just great stories. And she's 83 now.
That's awesome.
And so it's really fun to hear back when she was a kid.
I like it when she shares like that, because it's before, when this is my grandmother now, she'll talk about, well, when I was this age, I was raising children. That's all we hear. It's like, cause she was a mother at 16.
Oh, holy cow! Yeah,
a mother of.
Probably really common for her generation too.
Yeah, it's the World War II thing.
Yeah,
and she married young, and she had 8 children total, but only 7. She had one Sid's death. But
sad.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
She still talks about it, but But that's some of the stories I hear. But I like it when she opens up and she'll talk about them really amazing, they're gritty and colorful stories. I love it. I actually want to have her on as a guest too.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that would be so fun.
She's agreed. Do you know where the Red Mill Totem House is?
Nope.
In the Ballard Locks?
Nope.
You never been to the Ballard Locks?
I probably have, but I don't know. I've been to Ballard, but I don't know I don't know.
Well, the Totem House is a historic fish and chips restaurant.
Oh, cool. Ooh,
and it was built in 1939 and started out as a gift shop.
Oh, nice.
And then she managed it for She actually managed that shop for 25 years. And I would like to get her on and talk to them because she's a Ballard person.
Yeah,
they moved here in 1952 or something like that, or 1950 something. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma, we did these, I was just physically present. My mother recorded my grandma telling stories from her life for like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm talking like maybe 12 VHS tapes full of just stories from my grandma's life. And now we have them like on DVD. And my grandma's so awesome. She died 2 Christmases ago.
Right.
And like she was a World War II, Korea.
Korea?
I always get the timeline wrong. My grandpa served in Korea, and she was a chemist during the Korean conflict. I think.
Wow, back then a chemist for a woman, that was really awesome.
I know, that's the thing. And then she, like, when all the guys went off to war, she became a chemist, and then when they all came back, she went back home. And, like, she was one of those, like
Rosie the Riveter kind of gal.
Yeah,
but chemist world.
Totally. But she, like, is like a secret scientist in my family, because, like, none of us even really knew that. But she donated her body to a medical school and stuff. Like, she's totally, like,
I really dig that.
Secret, like, super scientific, but like really was a housewife for 45 years or whatever it was. But she was really cool. She had like all these really kind of subversive for her time ideas. And
I wonder where you got that, Peggy.
I know. I got a little bit of it from my mom too, because she's like. But my mom was more like a hippie, like a middle finger in front of her face kind of a person, and my grandma was like a secret, sly, subversive. It changes with each generation.
I see the puzzle pieces falling together.
Yeah, and then my dad is like the guys in Apollo 13 who all work at NASA, and they have like the short sleeve white dress shirt and the glasses and the pocket protector. That's my dad. Nuclear engineer, total nerd. One summer, my mom and I bought tickets to the Gorge to see Paul Simon and Bob Dylan. And I was like, Dad, we're going to Paul Simon and Bob Dylan. And he's like, who's that? And I was like, forget it. You're dead to me. And then when we got there, like in the middle of Paul Simon's set, he was like, I know who this is. And I was like, I knew. No, he didn't know until like we were in the concert.
But he just never put a name.
But he was like, I know this music.
He just
and I was like, of course, if you don't, then we're putting you in a mental hospital because
you weren't alive.
You've been asleep for 40 years.
Sometimes I'm really into like a certain type of music or a certain car or whatever, and I'll talk to people about it, and they'll just look at me like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you not know what I'm talking about?
I know.
They know what I'm talking about. They just never put a label. They never really learned what it was.
Right.
Well, their perception comes from someplace completely different.
But I do the same thing. It's like when they're talking to me about something they're totally jazzed about, and it's like, snore, I don't care.
Totally.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot with comedians, where I'll be talking to someone and I'll like mention a person's name and they're like, man, I don't know who that is. And then I'll list like 5 movies they're in and they're like, I haven't seen any of those movies. And I'm just like, I don't know how to talk to you then, because now
this is the center of my life. What are you talking about?
I'm like, I feel like this person is my friend and you don't even know their name.
Yeah, I tried to be a movie buff and follow like.
You can't try to be a buff of anything, though.
I just haven't been able to pick it up. You know what I mean? I like movies. I just don't.
You don't care. It's okay. You don't have to care.
I know.
You only have so many ounces. I think of them as what do you call blocks? Blocks of units of brain power to devote to any one thing.
Yeah.
And so you have to just, like, accept that, like, me, I'm never really going to be into, like, what am I not into? Sports. I'm never going to devote blocks of my excitement about life into sports whatsoever.
That is me, too.
Not going to happen. And I have tried, like you're saying. I've been, like, I have had friends who are into sports, and I was like, I will go to the pub and watch the match. And then I go, and it's, like, 40 minutes later, I'm like, let's do anything but this.
That's how I feel about sports,
too. At work, when the conversations start talking about football or baseball, well, I think baseball I'm pretty safe because nobody really likes baseball at where I work.
That's
and
good.
It's football, baseball,
You're
or basketball.
And
they start talking about it, and I'm like, nah. One time I remember, as Keegan, our son, who's sitting over my left shoulder right now.
Keegan's not allowed to talk.
You can talk.
I'm allowed to talk.
Oh, okay.
I'm allowed to.
So he starts asking me about sports. At one point, he's watching it on, I want to say it's Xbox. He had a little app on there from ESPN.
Yeah.
And he's watching football and college stuff, and he's asking me this, and I go, no. I really don't. I do like going to. I don't mind going to a game.
Yeah, I like that
but
too.
Watching it on TV.
Anything but baseball, I don't mind going to it. I won't go to a baseball game.
I don't mind baseball games because you can get up, walk around, get garlic fries, and leave.
That's all I do, and I could do that at home.
Yeah.
You must have gotten your sports thoughts from your Uncle David.
Nobody's
not a sportsman.
Well, nobody in my family was into sports, and being raised in a single-parent household, my mom, they would scream at the TV when the Seahawks were playing, but I don't know what they're screaming about. They'd say, "Get him!" or "Stop him!" That's it.
Not again!
And so it was kind of, and I did actually. I'm almost. Let me back up. I was a what do you call a bandwagoner. I'd get on the bandwagon when they're doing good.
Yeah.
But it would affect me so deeply too. I'd watch it, and if they lost, my whole week following it would be fucked. I'd just be like,
really?
Yeah. I just like.
So maybe it's fortunate that you don't, because I feel like sports fans put themselves through a ton of misery by caring who wins. I don't care who wins, and so why would I ever be upset about it? I'm like, well, one of the teams was better. Good job.
Not very competitive, are you?
Yeah, I am. If I'm playing sports, I will gouge your eyes out to win.
Right. Me too.
I'm hardcore.
I
used to do
ping pong with my wife.
It's the Chicago League of Lady Arm Wrestlers, because I have like a really mean arm wrestling arm, and it's like a fundraiser for theater in schools, and I arm wrestled under the name Punky Bruiser.
Oh,
and I had like a Punky Brewster costume with like Kiss makeup, and because it's this big like performance art sort of slash, but it's real arm wrestling. And like I had to stop because I wanted it to win so bad, and people are like betting on people, and like so I have all these people like putting money on me, and like I got up in my first one, I got up to the last match and lost it because it's arm wrestling for like 4 hours straight, and like your arm just gets exhausted, and the last person that we like teared up to she was like the returning champion, and like she hadn't done as many matches as I had, and I was like, I could totally beat this person if this was my first match, but it's not, and I was like completely wiped out. But like the stress of it, because I wanted it so bad, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Because I was like so into it.
Yeah, no, and
like,
when you do lose,
and I hate that.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad, and then I was like, oh, these people. But it didn't really matter. But I cared too much, and I was like, next time I'll just hang out and watch and enjoy it as an audience member. But it was fun. If it hadn't have been actual like physical competition, I would have like just had fun with it.
Yeah,
but it was like really like.
Yeah. It sounds kind of cool, almost
like screaming and
like a mixture of WWE and arm wrestling.
Yeah. And they do it like in the basement of a bar, and it's all women, and it's like like they like everyone's in these big costumes and you have characters and it's really fun and they raise a ton of money.
If people are betting on you, did you get a cut of those winnings?
No, because it's all for charity.
Oh, okay.
So you're trying to get people to bet for you.
Okay, I see. Okay, so basically they're just donating.
Yeah, and then they like if you win, then they draw from the people who bet for you for raffle prizes.
Oh,
it's a really cool event, and
that
it's like
really cool.
and now it's like huge. When I was doing it, it was a little bit small.
Was this back in Chicago? Or?
Yeah.
Cool.
And they do it a few different cities because it's catching on as this like really fun kind of
It does sound
thing.
cool.
What
was
really
it?
fun.
Was there a specific charity, or were there charities like?
It's called. I forget what the charity's called, but it's a group that does theater education in high schools in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
It's called like CARES or something, and it stands for Chicago Arts something reclaiming or I don't know. It's a charity that does stuff. Yeah, and like they have drag queen judges and stuff. It's just a total blast.
Oh,
a total blast.
awesome.
Yeah,
That does sound cool.
yeah, it was really fun, and but it was that thing where I was just way too competitive, and I was like, I don't like this side of myself. It stresses me out. I just want to have fun.
When I stopped watching any sports at all, I just found myself so much happier. I actually started when we moved to Thailand too. Instead of Sunday night and Monday night, it was Monday morning and Tuesday morning to watch the games.
Oh, okay.
It was too early. So anyway, it was easier just not to go. And besides, there was nobody that really gave a shit anyway. It was football and basketball were more the Americans' things.
Yeah.
Everybody in Thailand was into soccer or cricket.
Yeah, totally.
How do you watch cricket? I have no idea.
What is cricket? I don't even know what it is.
Exactly. That's my point right there. What is cricket? It's something that you drink tea and...
It's like baseball with two bases. I think it's two bases.
Two bases and pegs, and they wear bow ties, and I have no idea. Don't they wear bow ties? Aren't the universe?
It's a mean
I don't know.
But you're no help at all.
I know you can. If you get hit with the ball, you can actually you can get hit. The person can throw the ball at you and like break something.
Yeah, because they're
on
like
purpose.
aren't they like making rock? Aren't they like rocks? They're like really hard.
I don't know.
I think
They're not literally rocks, but they're like.
I think they call them stones.
Yeah, because they're not like a softball. They're like more like a pool cue, right? Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm getting beat up
so
with stones.
crazy.
That
like
sounds
5
great.
like the longest game I think. I'm not. Don't quote me on this. It's like 5 days.
I'm gonna quote you on it. You're on a podcast.
Quick, we're
It's
getting
recorded
done.
for posterity.
I'm staring
It's
at
too
that.
late. It's done.
You're there.
And
If I get it wrong,
it's
don't
you know what?
say
That's
it.
also, as you know, listen to other podcasts. Him and I, we listen to podcasts all the time together. A lot of this shit is basically like you hear something and then they just talk about, and they kind of generally make up. They talk about it with like the
make
tiniest
up, like,
sliver of a fact, and the rest of it is like
totally.
it's all
Well, I'm
fluff.
sure we've already said like 100 things. Like I think I was listening to one of our earlier podcasts, and I was like, "Oh, that was weird." Like I said something that was just like totally, and I probably just used the wrong word for it, but I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about there." But
That's not what I meant when I said
letting
it.
go.
It's
I
the
remember what
energy
it
and
was.
enthusiasm.
Totally. I said the Kennewick man was a complete skeleton, and it wasn't. It was just a skull. And someone found it in the mud during our hydroplane races, which I think is that we have hydroplane races in the summertime.
Oh, okay.
And so people were like playing on the edge of the river and like found the oldest complete skull. See, I almost did it again. It's not a skeleton. It's just a skull.
Oh,
and I went to a lecture once where they did a 3D imaging of reconstructing what the face was supposed to look like based on like bone insertion cues and stuff like that. It was really cool. Anyway, that was the thing where I was listening to it going,
So the
Kennewick
guy
man wasn't
he probably
a skeleton.
wasn't even from Kennewick. They found him in the Columbia River, yeah.
Right. He
So
probably
he
walked down from
floated
Canada.
down from Canada. So he's
Or
probably
Alaska,
Canadian.
maybe. Who knows?
He might have been. He's like, oh shoot, I'm drowning, eh?
This is I'm not the only man thousands of years ago.
This is not good, eh?
I love how like the only Canadian joke is eh? There's no other Canadian
Vanilla Ice is on the radio.
Oh, sweet.
You gotta bust it out.
What is it?
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice?
No, it's In Too Deep. I'm sorry, In Too Deep. Back to the hotel. Yeah.
Nice.
Sorry, not Vanilla Ice.
That's okay.
I used to. This takes me back right there. The backwards cap and.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classy.
20 years old.
So what do you guys have on the schedule for today? You going down to the parade?
This is it. We're gonna be going to sleep after this.
Good plan. I wish.
Please.
I know. I could totally go back to bed.
This is
right
my
now.
first
so
Pride
tired.
Parade too,
Is
so
it?
I'm very excited.
We actually didn't even plan anything past this, and we were talking. We were had a little bit more history with my aunt. We about 4 years ago we started a book club, and it wasn't actually a book club. We just basically got around and talked about a specific book. It was called "Cracking the Millionaire Code."
Oh yeah,
The key
I've heard of that.
to enlighten wealth.
And a lot of it is like right now is this is part of it. It's like you just but anyway, that's just we had a reunion of it because we kind of disbanded a little bit because it's just like we were like intense like every weekend for like 3 years.
Just the same book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just talk. Oh, but it wasn't
Sort
just
of
the
like
book.
a scripture study session.
They tried to never actually talk.
It was almost that bad.
That's the thing. Book clubs are code for drink wine and not talk about books.
We drank coffee.
No.
Oh, okay.
We talked about. Well, it was getting started. How do you describe it now that I think about it?
It was started with the book, and we were trying. We're a group of people that basically struggle with money, as 101% of all Americans or the world does struggle with money. It's. So we got together and we were talking about the book, but then it evolved past that, where we were just basically talking about the week or talking about. But it would always tie into what we read. So it was like...
if you had been recording it, you could have made it into a podcast.
Yeah,
it would have been awesome.
That was part of it. Where I'd say, we could...
Because I'm thinking, well, that's basically what we're doing right now.
Exactly. And I said, I could set a recorder, and it wasn't... It didn't gel.
Yeah.
For one, I think people would have been a little bit more quiet.
Oh, yeah.
It just wasn't time.
Yeah.
For
sure.
But you didn't know about it.
And
I knew, but I didn't.
Well, and I've been trying to start a podcast like we talked about before for like 5 or 6 years, and I've only gotten to the point where like maybe we record one session and then it just kind of falls apart because it's not the right group of people. And so that's what I think is so great about this is like you and this is how I tell people, I'm like, Scott is fantastic because we are exactly the same amount of into it. Like neither one of us is pulling the other one because we're both like, yeah, we're awesome. Like, and every time like I'm thinking about the podcast, you'll like send me a text about it, and then I'm like, oh, he's totally as into this as I am. So like neither one of us is motivating the other person. I feel like, and I don't know, maybe
I think that's brilliant.
Maybe I'm wrong, but if you feel like you're motivating me, then that's wrong. But I feel like we're both like, I mean, we never have to remind each other to be here. We just show up and we're both always on time.
That's going to be my biggest weakness. Is I got to make sure that because why I keep asking, I was like Bauhaus, right, and Sunday, right, because I'll remember certain dates, and that's my biggest thing. I almost never follow up. I'll remember a date and I go, did she say Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday, and I won't follow up, and that's why it's the last couple. It's like I wanted to follow up, make sure we. Yeah. You said Saturday, Sunday, evening, morning, blah blah blah.
Oh, right,
we jumped
we
around.
were going to change it.
Fuck, what did we decide on? And then that's why I basically sent you those texts.
Right, but I didn't have to go, hey, you're like I never had the thought of like maybe Scott will blow it off because we're both super excited to do it, and I love waking up and going, oh, it's podcast day. Like it gets me like my engine going for the whole day. Like every time we record the podcast, I post on Facebook like 100 times the rest of the day because it gets my brain going. Right. And then the rest of the day I'm like, oh, I just thought of this funny thing and I wish we were recording another podcast because I have 100 more things to say. So then my Facebook friends get it.
And he talks about it all the time too.
Not only me, my wife is also, she's taking it to work.
She's not even here.
She's here.
Shh! Don't tell anybody she's here.
Secret.
She's the
Secret squirrel.
No, you aren't allowed to talk. You're just
anyway.
defying me.
I will defy you.
So, well, she had some work done the last couple of weeks.
Be
I
specific.
know.
Who's
She Kanita, my wife, and she went and
Not
she had braces.
cosmetic surgery. She had
No,
braces
no,
put on.
it's
When you say she had work done, that's usually code for boobies or some such.
those have been nice too, but it's.
No, she got braces put on.
It's a good thing
You're
this
so
isn't
cute.
video because
How
she
long
just
have you
turned
had
12 shades of
Since
red.
November.
Oh, okay.
Since
So
I had
he's
the
almost like
He also
he's 10
has
months. 10 months on his. She just got hers a week ago.
Nice.
Or no, this last Thursday. So it will be as when everything's said and done. I say we'll have $14,000 invested in smiles.
Nice. You know what, though? It's worth it because
Exactly.
good dental health is good overall health.
Right.
Like, you can get all kinds of weird problems not having your teeth right, you know?
You know,
So-
and my
Or
insurance.
just, you know, looking good, feeling
I have
good.
good insurance, but they don't cover
Orthodontic. Yeah.
if it's not a medical problem. Like if she had TMJ,
Yeah.
they would. I was like, oh, it's too bad she didn't have TMJ. But then again, it's like that's just because they pay for it.
Right.
But I'm like, glad she doesn't because that's
Right,
more
because then
pain
it's
and
like,
surgery.
you can have, yeah.
And she does not do well with pain. Oh,
Oh,
my God. It's
totally.
like, I thought women were supposed to be stronger and all that and deal with pain because they have babies. But nope, she's a wuss. I mean, I
Isn't
can't.
it glad that you're not talking? Aren't you glad you're not talking?
I love that you've generalized
You
to all women from one woman's
No,
experience.
but-
It's always helpful when men do that.
It's typical of men, isn't it?
So typical.
No.
Speaking of generalizing.
But I can't. I've never had braces, so I can't
Me
either.
neither.
I can't either. I'm just fortunate. I went to a dentist every 6 months. I'd go in there and clean him, and we've seen him for what, 5 or 6 years. Same dentist, same old guy. He had bad breath and everything. and you'd sit with his
Classy.
stomach next to your, and you
Yeah.
hear
You're
his
like,
stomach
this
would
is
gurgle.
really uncomfortable.
Your teeth are really straight. He'd say to me, "Did you have braces?" No, Dr. Gill, my teeth are this way. And he goes,
Yeah.
what happened to that fourth wisdom tooth? Did I pull it? No, Dr. Gill, it never came in. Every 6, I was like, it's the same. You have the charts. You have the charts.
He's
you know
making small talk with you.
And it's hard to do small talk when you're the only one talking.
Yeah.
True. I hate it when my dentist talks to me.
I'll spit out
because I'm like, I don't want to slow you down. You just do your thing and ignore me. I'm just an open mouth here. Like, let's get it going.
If they ask me a question, I'll push everything out of my mouth.
Oh.
And then, here's my answer.
Oh,
Now
totally.
get back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. I just have great teeth genes. I have 3 half siblings, and I think none of us had braces, but all of my adopted brothers and sisters had braces, and we always would just
You had
smile
adopted?
and laugh. I have 6 adopted brothers and sisters.
Man.
Yeah, 3 half. I'm the 10th.
Oh.
Yes,
Holy
that does
cow.
add up to 10. I have 25 nieces and nephews, 9
I
in-laws.
just
All of
hearing
them
the
are
number,
married.
I go back and I hear I'm hearing my family, and I get
Yeah.
exhausted just hearing it. I was like, oh, Christmas. Do you have a neck?
I know, I ignore half of them. No. But they're all like grown now and all have their own families, and so we don't necessarily very rarely, maybe like every couple of years, we'll have a true like full Entrop gathering where there's like 45, 50 people there.
Oh, we have it like 4 or 5 times a month.
Oh, do you? Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
No, we ignore each other as much
We
as
have-
possible.
We have like this place. It's a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac, and it's like
It's the cul-de-sac.
it's the cul-de-sac where our
okay.
family lives.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Literally, it's where the family lives. It's my uncle,
There's
and
4 houses there.
grandmother,
3
and
of
my
the 4
brother.
houses
Oh,
are
wow.
our family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid that from happening. But I do like since I moved here from Chicago, I'm closer to my family. So I have a sister with kids here that I hang out with their family a lot. I have a brother that lives here. I have a couple aunts and uncles that live in Seattle. So it's kind of nice to have more contact with them, in-person contact. But I'm glad we don't all get together too often because it is overwhelming. I feel like I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown, especially with like all the kids, and they're all like, I'm the young fun aunt, and so they're all just like on me all the time, and I'm just like, my little niece, she's 4.5. No, she's 5. She just turned 5. I'm taking 10 days off. Next week I'm working, and then the following 10 days I have off. And so I talked to my sister, and I was like, hey, I'm going to take your daughter to the zoo. And I got a phone call, and I thought it was my sister, and I pick up, I'm like, hey. And then I just hear this, when are you taking me to the zoo? Just like screamed into the phone, and I was like, oh, it's my 5-year-old niece calling me. And I'm like, in a week. And she's like, okay. And she's just like screaming into the phone. And I was like,
I think she's
adorable.
Excited.
Oh my gosh, she's obsessed with me. And can't stop talking about how fat I am. And because she's 5, she says Puffy, which I think is a result of my sister having a talk with her about calling me fat. So she has always called me Puffy. Only it'll be like, you know what's great about puffy people? You're so soft and big and puffy. Or she'll like see another fat person and she'll be like, that person's almost as puffy as you. And I'm like, great. And she'll like one day she's like, when am I gonna get puffy? I'm like, I don't know, maybe never. And she's like, I think I'm going to. I like it. And I was like, great.
I love
it on.
I love the way, because we haven't, when the children talk, I just love the way they just, it's honest. It's honest, and there's no malice behind it.
See, and that's the thing. All of my nieces and nephews at that age have had that conversation with me, and to me it's hilarious because like my family's not all fat. Like there's maybe 3 or 4 of us who are chubby, and the rest are like thin people. Most of us aren't genetically related, so we have no like general pattern. But there's always that moment where they're like, you're really fat. And my sisters, it's always my sisters, they like, you can see their like buttholes clench.
Their mothers.
Where they're like, oh God, like, I can't believe you just said that to your aunt. And I don't care. I'm like, yeah, who cares? Like, I am
you
fat.
mean they can't notice? I don't know for myself.
They don't mean it in a, you're a bad person because you're fat, but I can see that you have a negative connotation to it. I personally don't, and so it doesn't offend me if people say stuff like that. But it's just funny to me to watch the reaction of the parent of the kid who says really honest thing to you.
I'm the oldest of 3, and I am the fat one of the family.
The fluffy one?
Yeah, the puffy one.
Puffy.
I am puffy. But however, I got a middle brother. He's 6'3".
Oh, yeah.
And he is now getting fat. And Brian, he's,
I know.
And I was like, well, he actually looks healthy now. Before he was anorexic looking.
Oh, okay. He's more just like filling out.
What do they call that? Anorexaholic or something like that, where he basically drank his calories.
Oh, I've never heard a word for that, but I know what you're talking about.
Something like that.
I have some friends who are.
Yeah, they would he wouldn't eat much, and he's really hyper and walks around, but he would drink a lot.
Yeah.
And then my youngest brother, he's got a gut on him too, but he's not. You look at him, it's only when he's wearing a certain shirt you can see his belly popping out. And I've always been this size. Well, not always. I've lost weight and I've gained weight. I yo-yo.
Yeah, I do too. I'm what I call skinny fat right now, which this is something my friend, I've mentioned Carolee twice, so that means I have to email her and say, hey, I mentioned you twice on the podcast. We actually were just talking about this the other day. We coined the term because we had this friend a long time ago who we called fat skinny, because he was skinny, but in certain clothes looked like weirdly fat, like had like a weird belly, and so we called him fat skinny because he was like, most people think he was skinny, but every once in a while he looked fat.
He was soft.
And then we call what I am right now skinny fat, because to people who know me, they're like, wow, you look great, you lost weight. But to people who don't know me, they just think that I'm fat. And so to me, like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm looking good, because like for me, I'm skinny. Because I'm at the like one of the lower ends of my like little up and down weight thing, and so I call myself skinny fat. The goal is medium.
When we were overseas,
that goal never happens, though.
My goal is to look in a mirror and see what I see on the inside of my head instead of what the mirror tells me I look.
That reminds me of a Simpsons cartoon where he gets He goes to the mirror and he pops a beer, and he watches himself transform into this.
Oh,
he starts
totally.
doing the peck dance and stuff.
That's hilarious.
When we were overseas, I actually ate more, but it was dropping weight like crazy. Well,
Interesting how that happens, isn't it?
We walked everywhere.
I did.
Yeah.
It was sweat all the time. I didn't really
And
I
you
started
eat
acclimating.
food with less. I mean, we add carbs to everything. Like, you can't buy a piece of meat processed that doesn't have a whole bunch of sugar in it.
Or salt.
And I think that and salt. I think that just because I had the same experience a few times traveling where I ate whatever I could get my hands on and just lost weight like crazy.
Fried chicken skin.
Yeah,
It's delicious.
That was it was like pork rinds. It was fried so much as a poop, and it was kind of crunchy and
it was really crunchy.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was his. I think he lost weight because he was really picky about what he wouldn't eat.
I wouldn't.
I'm shaking my head in disgust with you.
Why?
I'm just kidding. Because Thailand has some. If I was going to go to Thailand, I would do a food tour. I would just go and go. Bring me whatever you think would be
that
awesome
could be a
to
future
eat.
thing. I mean, we could actually do that. Branch this off and then
it's patented
From the coffee shop in Thailand.
Just order different.
Don't steal our idea.
Oh yeah, no, I think we should. We can definitely go do some foodie stuff. I love
You can do a food tour right here in Seattle.
I know. There's some really great, unusual ethnic things. I actually found a pupuseria, which is Salvadoran food. Oh, it's so good. They disguise themselves as Mexican restaurants, but then if you go in and you notice, oh, they have this other little section. I think this is actually a Salvadoran place. And
I have no idea what
El Salvador. It's a Latin American country.
Means the Salvador.
Very good.
It means the savior.
I know.
Right, the Salvador.
Yeah, duh. You don't speak Spanish?
No, but pupusas are little tortilla, kind of like stuffed tortillas that they make that are like little discs that are sort of just like a tortilla stuffed with beans and yummy meats and cheese and stuff, and they're just so good. And like plantains and black beans. And,
I've never had a plantain properly cooked.
Are you serious? I'm obsessed with plantains.
They're like a potato of the banana family.
Oh man, they're so good. Well, in Ghana, plantains were like a staple food, and then I've also been to El Salvador, and they like plantains are everywhere, and so I say I just want to go to a country that plantains are part of the local cuisine because that's.
There's a guy I work with. He's actually from El Salvador.
Is he? You should ask him to make you pupusas. Yeah, they're really, really good.
He says he's Mexican, and I'm gonna call him out and say, "No, you're El Salvadoran."
You aren't Mexican? Totally.
We had a new guy at work. He looks like he should be in the Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
cute. The little,
totally.
What do they call those?
Little people?
The munchkins.
Oh yeah.
The munchkins.
Don't call him a munchkin.
No.
He'll probably take offense.
I didn't say it. But I asked him. I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I mean, where are you from?" And then he goes,
clarifying.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm Filipino. I said, "Oh, you born in the Philippines?" "No, I'm born in Hawaii." I said, "You're Hawaiian."
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm Filipino.
He's Filipino, ethnically, Hawaiian, nationalistically.
Technically, you're an American, but
right. Well, that's the problem with asking the "Where are you from?" question, which I think some people take offense to.
Yeah,
to me personally, to me, it's wanting more information. So to me, I get a little annoyed with people who are like, "Why are you asking me?" Like just because I'm brown, because usually that's the connotation is you're asking someone who's not white. But to me, like I just want to know because I'm interested in people's like what their life experience is, and did they grow up in a different country and. Like,
or even a different
like,
culture,
yeah.
even if it was here.
The weird thing is, we got this. I kept digging. I said, "So you speak Tagalog?" And he's like, "No." I said, "I thought you're Filipino." I said, but he goes, "I was born in Hawaii. I speak English and Polynesian." I said, "So you're Hawaiian?" And he's like, "No, I'm Filipino." And I go, Oh, just say you're a Filipino Hawaiian, and
the correct answer is people are whatever they tell you they are.
Whatever they choose, yes.
Which is why I actually used to get in fights with social work teachers because they want you to be really specific about people's ethnic background. And like I wrote an assessment once that was like, they are an American male, and she was like, well, what kind of American? If you can't just write American. And I was like, you know what, if he had told me he was from the moon, I would have put client reports he's from the moon. Like, I don't argue with people about how they identify their ethnic heritage. I could tell people I was, Turkish. And I'm lying through my teeth, but, that's, if I decide I'm Turkish, then I'm Turkish. Because who really cares? Like, I'm not going to tell someone, oh, no, you... Because really, if you think about it, we're also defining Hawaii as, like, a specific point in time where it's part of the U.S. of A.
Right.
Where it hasn't always been.
No, not
so,
until,
like,
I think it was in the 40s.
Our assignments of what nation people are from a very specific, like, context, and to me it's meaningless. I know, because, like, am I Irish? Like, well, my people are from Ireland, but they're also from other places, and, like, if I consider myself Irish, then I think I'm Irish American or whatever. Right. But also, if you go back far enough, I'm from Africa. We all are, so...
I told you, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but when I found my dad, he's Mormon as well.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
No, he was, when I found him...
Maybe you did, I don't remember.
He's from actually Ogden, Utah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he no longer is Mormon, but when one of my visits, he brings, and this is a Mormon thing, I gotta assume.
Family heritage.
Oh my God. And he's telling me about all these people, which were just passing right through my brain.
Yeah.
The only one that stuck was an uncle that went to South Africa on mission back in like the 1800s or the early 1900s. I don't remember the time specifically, but he brought Mormonism to Africa. Crazy. He was one of the original ones. But he married, and he's showing me the marriage certificates. Yeah. And he married an African lady by the name of Jemima.
While he's on his mission? Oh, you told me you have an Aunt Jemima.
Jemima, yeah. I have an
Aunt Jemima. How scandalous of your Mormon ancestor to go pick up wives in other countries.
Right?
Especially named Jemima.
I know, but hey, it's part of that
I love this.
Cultural imperialism of the LDS Church.
And then I'm learning about, like, he claims, he lays claim to the, or not claims, we're Swiss German.
Okay.
With a smattering of Welsh, English, what else? Native American. But he always it's the Swiss German.
Yeah, totally. That he hones in on.
Which fits because we went up to Leavenworth. I went up to Leavenworth a couple of years ago just by myself on a little retreat. Went up there and I'm looking at all these guys walking around up there. They look like they could be my brothers.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're built, short legs, long torso. Yeah. And
for sure.
Got the broad shoulders and the pot belly.
You're like seeing your gene pool in front of you.
Yeah, I'm like, that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family is, I identify primarily as Northern Irish. Because most of like the recent past of my families are all from Northern Ireland. So we have like IRA people in our
Haggis
family.
Irish?
That's Scottish. Okay. I have a lot of Scottish background too, but the one that I most closely identify with is Irish. But to me, I'm like, even that, I don't really.
I went to the Highland
Games
one time
it.
those
are fun.
It was quite. We didn't do anything. No, we went up there and ate these fries. These fries that were battered.
You didn't toss a caver?
No, we walked by somebody who's had a big pole and they were tossing around, and then we went there and we went and seen the collies. They had a collie dog show.
Nice.
And
they didn't have like a sexy legs competition of men in kilts.
Oh, there was plenty of that.
I've seen a couple of those.
There was plenty of that just walking around, kilts and stuff. which I wouldn't mind having one.
You seem like a guy who would wear a kilt. They have something called the Utila kilt, which is
expensive.
Culottes?
Yeah, pretty much culottes for men. You seem like a guy who would have at least one in his closet.
They're not cheap though.
No, they're not.
It's like $350.
I can't wait to hear what the family is going to say now.
Nice. Well, we're about out of time.
We are actually.
So, yeah. So
I know this one went by fast again. They
I
all
know,
do.
we all go by fast. Thank you so much for joining us, Gwen and
Thank
Keegan.
you so much for letting me
Even though
join
you're not
you.
allowed.
While you're here, let's plug your website.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Plug it.
plug my website?
Plug your website. Just give us a really quick blurb
So
of what
that
you
way
do.
people can find you if
But
you
yeah,
would
it's
like
fine.
them to find you.
Well, I'm an emotional freedom coach with Your Strongest Life, and I help women get out of their own emotional way, stop subconsciously sabotaging themselves so they can make the difference they're here to make. And my website is www.yourstrongestlife.com. And I use a technique called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, which is a little like a combination of ancient Chinese medicine and modern psychology. And my tagline is, fear is expensive, emotional freedom is priceless.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
Thanks so much for letting me be part of this.
Totally.
was
Thank
cool.
you. Keegan, would you like to plug your website? It's www.you'reNotSupposedToBeHere.com. I'm just messing.
Actually, you could find them if you go on Xbox Live. What's your
Nice.
no?
No, aw.
No, just don't.
You don't want people to find you?
I'm just teasing.
Okay. Well, if you would like to find us, of course, you can email us at fromthecoffeeshoppodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at coffeeshoppodcast.com. No,
I just found it.
.com, at coffeeshoppodcast.
Yeah, Coffee Shop Podcast.
Okay, I don't know why I can't get Twitter names right.
And the little picture is a coffee cup with some earbuds by it. Is that what it is?
Oh, cool. I think so. Yeah.
I finally found it. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I was looking for it forever and ever.
I know I
ever.
haven't used it yet. We'll come up with some kind of social media strategy at some point. But it's out there, and of course you can find us on SoundCloud, which is probably where you're listening to us right now.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for listening. And I guess that's it. Do you have any last words, Scott? We didn't talk about poop in this episode. I'm really disappointed with us.
Well, we talked about the gas form of poop.
Oh, that's true. So this has been a lively discussion about the gas form of poop. Hey, mind your business. You're trying to get rid of us? Just for that, I'm talking for 5 more minutes. Thanks for listening. Huzzah!